As here we go then, hopefully the stream should be underway yet again. So when the stream has been completely restarted, let me know if I'm back, would be ideal. But this of course means we're gonna have multiple freaking files to deal with after the race, but it is what it is. Q3 then is about to get underway. See if I can just actually get everything. I don't want that up. Can I please just have my channel up? There we go. We're gonna have multiple files to deal with. Absolutely brilliant. But anyways, it is what it is. Nothing to be done about it. It's just a case of bad luck. But here we go then. Q3 is about to get underway. A couple of people out in Q2 then, but Darren Stahl making it through there by the grit of his teeth. Kit W41 unfortunately not able to make his first Q3 appearance in NEF1 this evening, but still has a good chance for points come the end of this session. Nolarks, Nasi, Djokovic, Jamar, Samo, Squidge, Wigan, Ginstis, Darren and Matty all into the top 10 and ready to go. If I can be heard loud and clear, then please let me know as well. That'll be massively appreciated. I think it should be working according to a BT, but no, it wasn't working the last attempt. So please let me know what's going on, which is unfortunate because I felt like my commentary during the last about 5 minutes was actually really, really good. No one's ever gonna hear that, as everyone is out on a flying lap at the moment. Absolutely everyone. First to start a flying lap is gonna be Samo Bamo. Yellow flags through Sector 3, and this is the Parabolica train where everyone fancies... Sorry Sam, I've got to cut away from this. As there's a McLaren ride along with Matty, who's ride along with Nasi. Nasi's giving Matty a ride tow, and I can imagine that... Yeah, that is Nolarks as well. Finding himself in quite a nice situation. He's going to be slipstreaming off Matty here. Now you can visually see that he's actually gaining time by doing this as well. Nolarks is playing this to absolute perfection, and Matty might actually be wise of just getting out of the way right now, because he is punching a massive hole in the air for Nolarks, who's visually gaining on him. And this is one of those places where even if you're somewhat affected by dirty air, there's not enough corners to actually make that work, because the benefits on the straights is so massive that it's a net gain anyways if you're running closely behind someone, which Nolarks at the moment is, and he's getting a slipstream off Matty, who has been left for dust by his teammate visually at the moment. And as you can imagine, is pushing like hell at 119.335 to close out the last session. Samo Bamo 120.180 is the first time of the session so far. See what Nasi is going to be able to counter that with. There's a Haas coming across the line as well of Ginster. See what he's going to be able to do. It's a 121.257. And Nasi 31 is going to come across for a 119.253, which very well could be good enough for pole position. Matty with a P2, Nolarks with P3 in the end, just ahead of Samo. But that gain from Nolarks on Samo Bamo is entirely thanks to being able to stick behind Matty for the duration of his lap. And I believe Samo would be in P4 at the moment, it would be. A Squidge has come across for a really strong 119.555. P2 on the grid. So here we go for SFLY Jamar, P9 at the moment, 120.786. Ginsis at the moment a little bit behind the rest of the pack, 121.257. Only one's yet to make it into the 119s, but Jesus Christ, Nasi. Jesus Christ. Saying goodbye to NEF1 for the time being in style at the moment is the Latvian in the Ferrari. It's absolutely brilliant pace. As well, if I can be heard, then please just let me know that on stream as well. Which I'm not getting any confirmations at the moment. It was a bit tricky, but I'm counting on the fact that there's audio now again. As welcome to the stream, Shelby VR1. Hopefully you're doing good. Sharing on Zamo Bamo 25 in this race. It's actually doing really good at the moment. Up in P6 in his last race for Williams before a pending move to the Scuderia, which we spoke about a little bit earlier. Obviously, would have loved to do the debut race for Scuderia Ferrari in Monza, but wasn't to be. He'll be making his debut next week out in the Netherlands, Zandvoort, for the Netherlands Grand Prix, the Dutch Grand Prix, I guess you should say. So Svalwa Jamer is now coming into the pit lane as well, and I believe we're not going to be seeing any more of these cars for the next couple of minutes. It surprised me, as is usually the case for the Monza qualifying in real life as well. It's usually very staged. So then we're back on decent viewer numbers, thankfully, as well, after having to do a full stream restart. It's never ideal, usually lose quite a bit of viewership, unfortunately, but hopefully everyone's doing well. It's always unfortunate when stuff like this happens. Someone's going out very, very early. Who was that coming out of pit lane? That was a Ferrari. I would imagine that's Matty MC. I can't... Is that Nassi going out this early? Oh well, he's got a free 10th gap to the second fastest car. Why? I mean, why not? Worst case, absolutely worst case scenario, Nassi would crash out of this session and start on the front row. That's worst case scenario for Nassi 31 at the moment, because I don't see two people beating that time. Potentially one, quite unlikely. Two, absolutely not. So then, this is going to be an interesting one. Nassi, Squidge, Djokovic, the people currently sitting inside the 19s. Matty's not far off it. Neither's no Locks and Samo, to be fair. Just under 2/10 off. Wiggins not far away. Then we got Darren, Jamar, and Ginstis all sitting inside the top 10 as well. It's cooking up to be a nice into Q3, but everyone's coming out relatively early as opposed to what I would be doing. As we're going to have a big interesting factor in the Grand Prix as well, who's called YPC Tess. Starting from P14 in this Grand Prix, he's going to be able to make his way through the pack relatively quickly, hopefully, and I would assume he will. That's going to be an interesting factor as well to watch his progress through the Grand Prix. A track where overtaking should be somewhat easy. It's quite a narrow track, this, but it should provide for good overtaking opportunities. Here we go, Nassi 31 then for the Italian Grand Prix, potentially pole lap, and maybe the last qualifying lap of his NEF1 tenure for the time being. It's a bit sad. We'll see him back in the league in not too long, I'm sure, and this is not going to be the pole lap, I'm sure, because it has been invalidated. Locking up a little bit, or outbraking himself a little bit into turn 4 and 5, that's lap over and done with. No Larks is on charge in the McLaren as well, going through the Cava Grande. Now, how close to the inside is he going to stay? Very, very close to that inside, not driving any more meters than he has to, braking at about 75 meters. And nicely executed. Gonna have to run over that sausage curb on this game by the look of things in order to get a decent lap around here. So then Nassi's heading into the pit lane. He's going to be able to get one more lap in if he gets out quite soon, but I think he's been carried into the pit box. I'll actually be able to check. He's being carried. Oh, it might be tight for Nassi this. Nah, I should be able to get it done. Needs about a 140. It is. Actually, it is going to be tight for Nassi. Wait and see. As for No Larks, he has gone up to 120.003. Good enough for P4 at the moment. Keep in mind, Matty and Zamo still looking to improve on those times. As Wiggins 71 now out on track as well, 120.246, followed by Darren Stowell on 120.757, Ginsters has made his way up into the top 8 with a 120.529, decent lap. And see if he can keep Darren and Jamar behind him. So Matt is on an outlap. Nassi might potentially do nice coming out of the pit lane now, but I'll have to hurry up on this outlap. I'll have to hurry up. I thought he might be doing a Sebastian Vettel in, was it Singapore, like 2011 I think, where he went out for one run in Q3 and then just sat out the rest of the session, took pole position by a long margin as well. They didn't even feel the need to send him out again. Did Red Bull, which was the biggest I'm him moment of Formula 1 in history. Jamar's been able to improve up to 120.097. That's a really good lap for the Canadian RB. That's a really, really good lap. As Wigan has been able to finish this session off on 120.148. And it is heating up. Djokovic at the moment going through the fast Lesmo, and that is very close to the track limits for Djokovic, extracting the maximum of the allowed track width and DRS enabled, heading down to the Ascari chicane, and that was very close. Where is the other pole position contender potentially? He's gonna get one more go at this. Is Squidge 2017 Wes Nassi? Is he gonna be able to make it? 30 seconds to go. I believe he is. Right now he's making sure to not give Djokovic a single advantage though, and maybe trying to gain a little bit of Djokovic down the main straight. Djokovic is gonna try his best to not help Nassi out any further, but it might not matter realistically. Here we go then, Djokovic up to P2, so Nassi was actually wise to not try to help out Djokovic too much. 119.483, Djokovic trying to get right out of Nassi's way as well, but it's not going to matter for his sake. P2 is all she wrote, and P2 is all it's going to be, or is what it's going to be, because Squidge has made a little bit of mistake coming out of turn 4 and 5 on his last run. He's not going to be able to improve. No Larks through Ascari, not improving. Matty through the first Lesmo is improving. He is improving. Matty Adam 16. The question is how far up can he get? The arrow's enabled on the run down to Ascari. Jamer Wigan in the pit lane. Samo's out there as well. Is he improving? Yes, he is, by a little bit. Darren not improving on this lap. Ginstas is finished for. Matty through Ascari, still improving, not by a massive amount, but maybe good enough to get him into the top 4. No Larks could be losing a position to Matty here if he's not careful. Getting a little bit of toe of the Red Bull of Squidge, but he makes sure to not give him too much of an advantage. Sure, Squidge would still like to finish in that P3 slot. And Matty, across line, what's it going to be? Is it going to be good enough for P4? Yes, it is, by about a tenth of a second into the 119s. Now, Samo Bamo, what's he going to be able to do? Improving by quite a bit here. Should be able to maybe launch himself, maybe even up into P4 with this lap. Is Samo Bamo about to take his first second row start of NEF1, if I'm not mistaken? Yes, he is! Samo Bamo out-qualifying Matty by a couple of thousandths of a second. And Samo up into P4 for a brilliant qualifying performance. That's showing off in front of his future team. Yeah, well, hats off to Samo Bamo, who's just steadily improving throughout this season. And is actually, if he keeps this level of momentum up, he's on his way to becoming a top driver in NEF1 Samo. Absolutely brilliant qualifying performance in that Williams. Absolutely splendid. Nassi then takes pole position in the Italian Grand Prix from Djokovic, Squidge, Samo and Matty as your top 5. No Larks falling down to P6 there in the end, but still a very good lap. Jamar just behind him by about a tenth of a second in P7. Former teammates, No Larks and Jamar. He's followed by Wigan in P8, Darren in P9. Ginstas is starting in P10. As there you have it, the top 10 for the Italian Grand Prix. And 2 attempts was all that was in it at the end between Nassi and Djokovic. But even though Nassi does have the qualifying pace, we've seen that in this season so far. Race pace, as it has been so far, has belonged to Djokovic. See how it all transpires. Squidge in P3, Samo P4 and Matty in P5. Makes up an interesting top 5 for this race, which will get it underway in a couple of minutes time. We'll go to a little bit of a break before we get it underway, but won't be waiting for too long at all. before we get this Italian Grand Prix underway. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back with you in a couple of minutes' time for the Italian Grand Prix. 27 laps to decide who takes home the 25 points by the end of it. So then, hello everyone and welcome back to the Italian Grand Prix in NEF1. Hopefully you're all having a good time. Just sitting here waiting a little bit for the Grand Prix to get underway as we're getting reports from Matty Adam 16 that the rain looks to be light around 2/3 of the way through this race, only lasting for a couple of minutes however. But it does look like we're going to have somewhat of a rain-affected Grand Prix here. So we'll wait and see how it all ensues, and when that rain inevitably potentially comes down, but it could be a really, really interesting one. It's gonna be an interesting one. This we'll wait and see how it all plays out. But I can confirm that the ready up has been given. Everyone is free to just get this race started. We'll be going in just a couple of moments' time for the formation lap, followed by 27 laps of the Italian Grand Prix. As Jace96, also known as iWatt, is cheering on his teammate Jamar in this race. Oh, well, hopefully you're having a good time. Hopefully the game shall sort himself out in a bit of time as well. Shame to not have you on the grid for this one. Nasi then is going to take the formation lap from Djokovic, Squidge, Samo, and Matty. Samo with a brilliant qualifying performance up to P4, and he was ecstatic with it as well. Nolarks in P6, followed by his fellow Jamar in P7, Wigan in P8, followed by Darren and Ginsters in P10, Hybrid, Kit, P11 and P12 on the 6th row of the grid. And on the 7th row of the grid, we have BT and YPC Test starting alongside each other. I would ask everyone to try to keep the field spread relatively tight throughout this formation lap as well, so we don't have everyone just waiting on the grid for too long. So try to keep relatively close together throughout this formation lap, or especially through the end of it. So don't have these massive gaps. This is already beginning to form, so please close those up immediately. And Asi, if you want to, feel free to bunch the pack up coming out of Ascari. Asi already is starting to control the pace of the formation lap a little bit. Obviously, his tyre is not going to cool down as the game kind of passes that as soon as you're parked on the grid. So predicted one-stop strategy here, which is going to be a bane in the eyes of every single McLaren fan in the world, the predicted one-stop. Yeah, obviously the game kind of freezes your tire temperature when you're parked on a grid, but still not nice just being parked there for a long time before you get this this race started. So then Nasi through the Parabolica then to get this started. Djokovic in P2. This track would actually be really fun with a... can you say a flying start or a rolling start coming out of Parabolica and then screaming down towards the fast corner would be brilliant. And this is going to be a relatively quick formation as well. No one's going to be sat there for too long. Tess and BT doing a couple of burnouts on their way to the grid. As there we go, and everyone is parked up nice and smoothly, because I completely forgot to do this, but that went by pretty quick. 5 red lights, and it is lights out, and away we go for the Italian Grand Prix. And by the look of things, Nasi's gone away relatively well. Squidge as well. Djokovic with a bit of wheel spin. He might be challenged. Heading into turn 2 by Samo Bamo, who's taken P3 away from Squidge, actually. Now Samo remains in P3. Nasi holds the lead of the Grand Prix from Djokovic, Samo, Squidge, Nolarks. Matty's fallen down a position. Wiggins gained a couple. Squidge now falling down another position to Matty Adams 16 after the fast corner. No massive losers apart from Ginsters had a problem after turn 1, and that is him out of contention for the time being, maybe until we have a safety car or a virtual safety car to get him into this. But Nasi holds the lead of the Grand Prix from Djokovic and Samo, who's into a podium place. He's followed by Matty, who's now running actually over a second behind him already, and that could be crucial. Matty needs to get that gap closed up quickly before they start pulling away with the ADAS on DRS there. That 1 second gap could be lethal if it remains after the Parabolica. We'll wait and see. Nolarks in P5, Squidge down 3 positions on the start, not had a good opening lap in P6, but he's now pressuring Nolarks into Ascari with a bit of DRS there. Would have gotten that move done. Nolarks 1.2 behind Matty as well, which is going to be an increasing challenge for him. Wigan in P7 followed by Kid in P8. Kid actually have 4 positions on the start, as well as YPC Test, who's now trying to get past us, followed by Jamer into P9 already. And he's had a really good start, has the Alpine driver. Gonna go side by side through the Parabolica though. It's advantage Jamar, and they're gonna go side by side throughout the entirety of the track. Matty now not within DRS range of Samo, who's almost in striking distance of Djokovic at the moment. Samo going well nicely here. Needs to just maintain his calm. He's not used to these types of situations, and mistakes like that is going to allow Matty to keep on in this fight. That was a mistake that he couldn't afford. YPC Test now, past Jamar, past Kit, up to P8. This is going by quickly. 6 positions on the opening lap for YPC Test. That's half the field. So then Samo, 6/10 of a second behind Djokovic, who's kind of falling off a little bit, as Darren gets a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Send that in. I don't know what on earth has gone on. Maybe a collision with Kit by the look of things. I'm sure we'll find out after the race what has just happened there. As for Darren, penalties like that can be removed as well, so don't panic just yet. Those can be removed if applied without cause. Matty now crucially within 1 second of Samo Bamo as well, so he doesn't kind of get left behind his DRS train. Squidge is going to pass No Larks for P5 as well. That was crucial for him in the opening stages of this Grand Prix. YPC Tess is just behind Wigan, and this should be easy workings for him on the DRS straight. Wigan on the mediums, YPC Tess on the medium. Straight fight, but I just have a feeling that Alpine has a little more pace in it than the Aston Martin does on this occasion. YPC Tess goes past into P7, but this amount of overtaking surely is going to drain his battery a little bit, and that could cause a problem when it comes up to No Larks and Squidge. Not really in an active battle at the moment. Nasi at the moment is managing this pace quite well. Samo at the moment right now starting to just fall behind a little bit, but he's running nicely along with Matty Adam 16 right now. Matty and Samo, in a week's time, they're going to start playing these kind of games together, but right now it's hats off because Matty wants those Constructors' Championship points as well. He's going to do Samo no favors whatsoever. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting battle. Jace96 saying in the chat, got the popcorn ready. I feel like you might need it because I just have a feeling this is going to be an entire entertaining race. Just get the feeling of it. Matty on Samo then, and this move is probably going to happen into turn 1. The question is how fast is that closing speed heading onto the back straight. We'll wait and we're heading onto the main straight. We'll wait and see. Through the Parabolica, and Djokovic is there on Nasi as well. And is he even in striking distance of the Ferrari? Could be Ferrari join Ferrari heartbreak on the same straight here. Djokovic, he's closing, but he's not closing massively. It's not closing up massively. Nasi charging his battery up a little bit towards the end. Matty and Samo going side by side into turn 1. Matty's got the inside. Samo's got the outside and maintains that through the Cavagrande. Good defense that from Samo. Maintains P3, but the more this is going on, the more they're allowing the Squidge into this little battle, the more they're losing on Djokovic and Nasi up front. So Matt will want to get this done quite quickly. But brilliant defense there from Samo on the first attack, which is going to give him just that little bit of confidence as well, heading into the next stage of battle. Good defense from Samo Bamo. As YPC Test now trying to catch up to No Larks, 1.3 seconds behind and closing. No Larks though with the DRS on Squidge as well. So this is where YPC is going to run into the first obstacle, but don't count him out for a podium or even a win with the pace he's currently going at. Still very much in this. And Matty at the moment just moving for some clear air on Samo Bamo heading into the Parabolic. I'll want to keep that engine quite cool as well, especially around here with quite a hot air temperature, and you will lose performance, if I'm not mistaken, if you overheat your engine. Obviously it's not going to blow, but I think you'll just lose a bit of performance. Matty pulls out, and that's going to be definitive. Samo not really able to defend that one. Matty takes P3 away from him, and it's a double Ferrari podium for the time being. That might somehow be good for Samo Bamo, now just able to maintain his pace and focus on Squidge behind him. Samo realistically is in contention for the podium? Maybe. We'll have to wait a couple of laps and see. This is going to be an interesting one, this I can promise you that. Nasi, oh, hold on. Djokovic is going to pass Nasi for the lead of the Grand Prix, and we completely missed that one. But Djokovic now is your effective race leader. Nasi just losing out in a battle there, and I could imagine it's just a couple of corners ago heading into turn 1. Is what I could imagine. Now heading into Ascari, just charging up, getting ready for another attack potentially. Samo's fallen a little bit behind Matty, not quite being able to hang with that pace. The question is how much has he taken out of his tyres? Squidge at the moment, starting on the hards, I didn't actually notice that. No Luck still not able to get past him on the mediums. So YPC not quite able to catch No Larks at the moment. That's interesting. Let's see, No Larks should get a much better exit with those grippier medium tires. Should be getting past that Red Bull right now. Unless he's content with just following for the time being. As Nasi's gotten past Djokovic once again for the lead of this race in turn 1. And No Larks gets past Squidge. Sure, Samo would have loved a bit more drama between those two in that little battle. And we're starting to see those cloud formations forming over the track, and is that going to culminate in a bit of rain later on? We'll wait and see. So there's a 50-50 chance potentially as BT makes his way up into the points in P10. As the other McLaren's not having the best of days, is Hybrid 472K currently sitting behind Gins. Is now getting a 3-second time penalty because I started speaking about him. That's unfortunate for Hybrid. That see if he can just rebound a little bit as Darren's heading into the pit lane now. Is that a new set of medium tires? I believe that is. That's that time penalty to contend with for the end of this race, though. As that was someone into the gravel traps and Hybrid is out. That's brought out a full car safety car, and it's the first. Oh, hold on, that's a lovely little glitch. That's the first retiree of this race, and it's Hybrid smashing into the wall in Scary. Not really an unexpected place to have the first retirement of this race, but that's going to trigger something interesting here because YPC can now go into pit, G pit stop, hard set of tires. Same for ABT, same for Ginster, same for Jamar. The big loser of this, Squidge, on that hard tire, might need to do something different here. Maybe go for a two-stopper now. Maybe a medium to medium or a soft medium or something to shake things up. Or he could potentially risk losing an entire pit stop here. Starting on the hard tires, not the best idea around this place. Djokovic is in the same situation. Should be mentioned. Djokovic is in the same situation. Let's actually have a look at that real quick. Quite a couple of people in the same situation. No, just those two people in that situation right now. Djokovic and Squidge, what are we going to do? Are we going to stay out or are we going to come in? By staying out, they're effectively giving a pit stop to YPC Tess. YPC, he is a worry for Djokovic and especially Squidge right now. So their hand a bit forced. And now the situation is this now. Djokovic and Squidge needs another safety car. They need another safety car because they're not going to drive in 20 seconds on YPC. They're just not. Nasi's coming in, Djokovic staying out. Matty, is he following his teammate into the pit lane? Yes, he is. Might just be held a little bit. That could have helped Samo Bamo, who for some reason is staying out here. I don't understand that move by Samo. Opting for track position, maybe fancying another safety car later on. That's a weird move by Samo. And that's routine of not being too used to being this far up. Maybe just getting a bit desperate for track position instead of trying to be on the best tire at the best point, because now they'll have Squidge behind him, but then they'll have an absolute monster combination of Nasi and Matty just behind him on fresh tires. Samo, that's not brilliant. That's not brilliant, and Samo might have just signed his death warrant in this race. We'll wait and see. Wait and see, but Hybrid becomes the first retiree of the Italian Grand Prix. As this will allow Darren to catch up to the back of the pack as well, which was much needed for him after his early pit stop. And hopefully everyone who's watching is enjoying the race as well. Let me know if you are. So Djokovic then leads from Samo and Squidge. Samo, will the aforementioned top three yet to make their pit stops. Nasi, 31, Matty, effective 1 and 2 right now. Because what Nasi's done now as well, he's gained an entire pit stop on Djokovic, who, fair play, couldn't really pit this early for his other mediums. They wouldn't last to the end of the race. But he's in an awkward situation now, Djokovic. He's in a really awkward situation. Maybe even more awkward than the one Samo's in. Not convinced about that strategy, especially when it was not necessary for Samo. Should have gone into box. This is banking about the fact that we have another safety car in about 5 or 7 laps time, so you could potentially, everyone would feel inclined to put a set of mediums on. This is banking on that fact. Would imagine everyone else, basically. Yeah, hard tires for basically everyone. BT and Darren's gone aggressive on a set of mediums. So their 2 stopping is what we can tell from that. Sam was the only one remaining on his own medium tires. But as you can see there, the top 3, the only ones yet to make a pit stop, and that's, yeah, that's not a brilliant position for them to be in right now. And is that Darren into the pit lane for a new set of boots, or has he just made a little bit of a mistake? I believe he's just made a bit of a mistake. That's a bit odd. Well then, leader of the race, Nasi 31, leading what at the moment is his last race in NEF1. The question is he just going to do a bit of favours to Matty as well, if push comes to shove, and let him go to try to take the win here, as those points will go towards the Drivers' Championship that Nasi won't realistically be competing in anymore. Or is Nasi going to want to win his last race in NEF1? Wait and see. No Larson P6, followed by YPC in P7, JMR in P8, followed by 9th, Wigan, BT P10. Yeah, this safety car is coming at weird times. First safety car we've had in a little while in NEF1 as well. It's been a while. But I don't know, I would imagine the safety car is going to come in at the end of this lap. I don't think it's going to stay out even longer, is it? As worth pointing out, we're already nearing half race distance. Lap 13, lap 14. Half race distance, we're on lap 10 right now. It's flown by. Soon it's going to start going by even quicker, but that safety car is going to disappear off track at the end of this lap. There we go, race controls the safety car in this lap. Now it's up to Djokovic to control the safety car restart and yeah, just let the safety car go. And as soon as it's into the pit lane, he can get this race restarted at any point he wants to. But I can imagine this is going to be a bit of a tricky restart for Djokovic. Samo behind him on a set of mediums that should be heating up a bit quicker. Sam will be inching to get going as well. So everyone's going to maintain single file formation throughout this duration. Safety car is just about to come into the pits, and Djokovic is not going to be left with too many options of when he wants to get this restarted. Want to leave it as late as possible while still getting a surprise, and he has, because Samo's been caught off guard, because here comes Squidge and here comes Nasi as well. Who's got the fastest car in a straight line? Samo's holding off well at the moment. Is Nasi potentially going to be able to pick one or two of them off? Side by side go Samo and Squidge into turn 2. Nasi has to take evasive, or doesn't have to take evasive action, takes a lot of inside curb. Matty's lost out a lot in this safety car restart as well. BT and YPC Tess has gone through. YPC is now in a brilliant position for this race as well. BT right behind him, slipstreaming on to turn 4 and 5. Is he going to send one down the inside? Yes, he is. Sends one down the inside of Alpine, who locks up, causing a slight bit of contact with a BT that locks up. Starts turning in a bit too early. I don't know if it was caught off guard, but BT up into P5 and having a good race so far. Having a good race so far, and he has switched out those tires as well. Squidge now on the back of Samo Bamo. Nasi now a full pit stop ahead of Djokovic effectively, and battling him for the lead of this race. Samo holding on to P3, but he'll have a Red Bull on him to the inside of Ascari, and that's close. That's close between the pair of them, but Samo holds on for the time being. It's acting like a bit of a Yeah, he's acting like a bit of a blocker for the entire field at the moment. And everyone's going to be itching to get past him. BT now, maybe towards the outside of a Parabolica. YPC's right behind him. Samo's going to lose out here. And BT might come down the inside to take the pair of them. And he does. BT with a brilliant move down the inside of not one, but two cars in the Parabolica. And that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately, that means he's going to be absolutely pounced on in the preceding corners, but that's a brilliant move. Maybe one of the moves of the season, and BT holds on, and he's in a podium position on a good set of tyres as well. Samo now losing out a lot here. Has he had contact with anyone? No, but he's down in P8, not having made his pit stop, and I believe that really, really good qualifying effort for Samo has been completely outdone by the strategy. As BT's holding on to this P3 at the moment. BT's holding on. Squidge is right behind him. Matt is going past YPC Tess, who's had a bit of a shaky restart with a lock-up here and there. Losing a couple of positions on it, gaining a couple of positions on it as well, but he's very much in contention now. Matty, Squidge, and a BT. It's the pairing we're looking at. Squidge is gaining on BT, who's just gotten his pace together a little bit for this race. As here we go, into the Parabolica, around the outside maybe. BT will almost want him to do that. No, actually, it doesn't break early. Squidge trying to set him up maybe for a little bit of a switchback move around the Parabolica. No, but it's going to be a DRS train come the beginning of this straight. And Matty actually with a lot of straight line speed. And I'll kind of put Squidge in an awkward situation. I know, actually, BT moves to cover the inside somewhat. Probably should have stayed towards the outside because then it would... Oh, that's very close between the pair of them. But BT, is he actually going to be able to hold on to this? No, Matty takes P3 away from him. But BT actually does a better job than I thought of being able to hold on to it. Holding on to P4. But now YPC Tess is there as well as Kit. YPC now, is he going to have a go down the inside and turn 4? No, but BT's going to have a go at him round the outside. And it's Argy-Bargy racing. YPC into the back of Matty, BT into the side of YPC Tess, and now Kit down the inside of YPC Tess into the first Lesmos. Is he going to back out of that? Well, it's his position really. Holds the inside. Oh, slight contact. Tess runs wide. Question is, did he run off the track and gain an advantage there? Might be looked at after the race. I don't know if he was still on the track at the end of that move. Wait and see. Kit W41, P6 still, as Squidge P7, no larks in P8. But BT actually holding on to this P4 incredibly well. He has a bit of tyres than everyone, as Nasi's actually taking the lead away from Djokovic now as well. Djokovic is Djokovic's in a really bad place right now. Yet to make a pit stop as well, but there's battling behind him. That is helping out. Matty on, or BT on Matty then for round 2. Not going to happen on this lap. Wigan, 3-second time penalty. Squidge has lost out a little bit here, but he's still very much in this train. And as Jay said in chat earlier, get the popcorn out because this is turning entertaining quick. Samo now battling for P10, and that's actually about to lose P10. As I felt why Jamar would make slight contact through the Curva Grande. So then Jamer into the top 10 now. Samuel struggling in that time. Needs to get rid of it. Needs to get rid of it quick. I don't know if he's trying to one-stop maybe a medium to soft here. But it's compromising his race a lot. BT heading into Ascari then. Still very much on the back of Matty and keeping YPC Tess along with him. Squidge gets past Kit into Ascari. As here we go, and YPC Tess on a BT, and BT is not going to be able to do much about that one. Unless he can fight it back a bit later on, but YPC now having a look at Matty, which is not going to be able to get done into turn 1. Runs out of road. Now through the Curva Grande as well. That Alpine is quick in a straight line, especially during slipstreaming. It's closing down relatively quickly. Matty's holding on to P3 at the moment. Nassi at the moment is controlling this race. Djokovic in P2 behind him, but keep in mind Djokovic has to make another pit stop. Lap 15 out of 27. That pit stop phase should be emerging for Djokovic quite soon. Unless he can box late for a set of softs maybe and go aggressive towards the end. Or actually, no! Oh, that's a good call! I completely forgot about it by Djokovic and a couple of others, because here comes the rain, and this is where Djokovic has the race in his hands. I completely forgot about the fact that the rain was coming, because that's the reason they didn't pit. They were waiting, and they were waiting for this. Now, the rain's coming down heavy. Is anyone going to come in this lap already? We're starting to see problems for Djokovic. Nassi, are they going to come in this quickly? No, they're waiting for another lap. Oh, whomever pulls the trigger first here might be a wise man. Is Matty going to do it? Yes, Matty is going to do it. YPC staying out for another lap. That is the reason why a lot of people stayed out. When I didn't get it then, Squidge, 10-second time penalty, speeding in the pit lane. I did not get it a couple of laps ago. Now I completely remember it. Oh, and the question is, did Nassi and Djokovic stay out a lap too late? Sam Obama, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Not so unnecessary to get, but now it's going to be harder slowing down as well. Oh, now I understand why Djokovic did this. Now I understand why he stayed out. Keep in mind, Djokovic usually, when he gets a set of wet tyres on, turns into racing god. The question is, how well are those intermediates performing at a track that looks damp already? Matty might have actually boxed at the optimal point. Nolox has had an issue. He's had a full spin round turn 4 and 5, and that's going to compromise his race a lot. Oh, the question is, how quickly is Matty's closing up to the leaders right now? 31 seconds the gap. Let's see how that gap unfolds. And he is, yeah, he's closing. Matty's closing. He made the right call. Question is, how right of a call was that, and how much time is he actually going to bring onto those leaders? He's closing by temps every single second. He's closing in by a temp for 2. Leaders got to get in this lap, along with YPC Tess, will now have lost out a lot of time. The question is Matty potentially even going to come out in the lead of this race? Doubtful. Nassi stayed out for yet another lap. Is he going to try to drive through this rain period? Nassi might have just cooked his final NEF1 race here, if that's what he's trying to do. Because what he's doing now is losing seconds a lap to the cars behind him. Where is Matty going to? Where's everyone going to come out in regards to Matty? Is Matty going to beat out Undercheck here? No, just misses out. But Matty now in contention here. Been brought up closer to Djokovic. But this is the fact with Djokovic as well. He's incredibly good in situations like this. But if Nassi can hold on to those tyres now throughout this rain period, if the rain does end, Djokovic is going to have to pit again to get rid of those intermediate tyres, and so is everyone else. Then Nassi is going to have a commanding lead of this race, if he can hold on without losing too much time. But right now, he's losing time, Nassi. Question is, how much time per lap can he afford to lose? At the moment, 2 seconds per lap, and he's going to be losing more than that. Losing about 5 seconds per lap to Matty at the moment is Nassi 5-1. Oh, Nassi, you might have gone for something. I like the aggression of that strategy. I, however, don't think it's gonna work out, unfortunately. And I don't know. Nassi's kind of committed to this now, so I don't know if I'll have to drive through it. Don't know if Nassi's so committed to this strategy now that he has to make it work. He has. He's gonna go for it. Nassi's gonna risk it here. Oh, it's aggressive from Nassi. I can't see it working. But I quite like it. I do quite like that move from him. Predictions in chat. Is that move from Nassi realistically going to work? I'd love to get your viewpoint on it. What do you think of that move? It's entertaining, but it's tricky. It's really tricky. So YPC Tess now on the back of Squidge. YPC Tess has a time penalty. What is that for? 10 seconds, I would imagine them for speeding in the pit lane, which is going to massively compromise his chance at a decent result in this one. But he's going to go around the outside of Squidge 2017 into the Cava Grande potentially. Let's see who's better on the brakes in the wet. Oh, and the two come together, and it's that because YPC just failed to leave a car's width maybe on the outside for Squidge there. He's going to be pissed off with that. Jamar now up a position on Squidge as well. Jamar is actually a massive winner of this wet period. Oh, but it's a coming together between YPC, Tess and Squidge towards the braking zone of turn 4 and 5. I didn't get a good angle of what was going on. Nasty, I'm afraid to say you probably cooked this strategy, buddy. The rain is not easing up quite yet, and you're losing 5 seconds per lap to everyone behind you. This could turn ugly for Nasty really quickly if he's not careful. But he's committed to this strategy now. If he comes into the pit lane now, he's going to come out between Wigan and Kit. In P9 and P10, out of contention for absolutely everything. So Nasty's hand's kind of forced now. He has to make this work. He's 20 seconds per lap slower than what he should be. As comparison to Kit, he is about 10 seconds. So he's losing 10 seconds per lap at the moment, is Nasty. As Jamar's powered past YPC Tess, Jamar is liking these track conditions. Up at P4 for the first time this season's Jamar, who's really shown a glimpse of pace. Where has this Jamar been for the last couple of races? SFLY Jamar, take a bow. As Nasty now has lost the lead to Djokovic, and this is now counting on the rain stopping now. 2 more laps of this, and Djokovic will be outside that 20-second gap that he needs for a pit stop. He's losing 2 seconds per corner at the moment. Nasty letting Matty go, though. Maybe potentially going to try to hold up Jamar and YPC up a little bit. It's a tricky one, this. But Djokovic now has a firm grip on this race. And with 8 laps to go as well. If the rain ends now, everyone might come into the pits for a set of softs for the last couple of laps. But if this rain goes on for 3 or 4 more laps, it's into the end. Nasty, I'm afraid, might well finish out of the points at this rate. He went for something aggressive and I like it, but in hindsight should have probably just gone a bit safer, tried to secure the points for Ferrari for himself. I like it, but it's not really worked out. Is he going to come in and realize what he's done? No, he's staying out. He's staying out. So the gap between Nasty and Jamar at the moment is about 5 seconds. Let's see how that gap plays out. YPC now on SFLY Jamar. And he has that position taken before we get to the braking zone. Jamar under braking though, sends it down the inside of the Alpine, just trying something a bit opportunistic. Is he going to get better acceleration coming out of the turn? Not quite. Tried to switch back, didn't work. But I like this move, these kind of moves from SFLY Jamar. Nicely done from him at the moment. And I must say BT's in a good position as well. Without those penalties, looking to potentially finish in P4 at the moment, because I believe everyone ahead of him has that 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. As Nasty's now losing seconds per corner. It's not worked out, this. As here we go, YPC's just going to power past Nasty, who's defenseless to do anything, and he's not even going to try to do anything, I don't reckon. Is Jamar going to have him before Oscar? It's crucial that Jamar gets this done before Oscar, and I believe Nasty lets him go because of it. However, this is going to be a massive roadblock for Squidge, who's going to be massively fuming with this. He's now stuck behind a Ferrari who's on ice skates, and that's cost him quite a bit of time. That has cost him quite a bit of time. Lap 21 out of 27 now, when Nasty's had enough. Intermediate tyres going onto the car to try to salvage maybe a point or two away from this race, but it's unlikely at the moment. Nasty tried something different, it did not work. But that is a sad ending, really, to his NEF1 tenure, if that's the way it's going to be. Might be able to salvage a point if he can catch up against this. Oh, that's rough for Nasty 31, that. And Djokovic right now is controlling this race. Matty not able to match the race leader on wet track conditions. And I said this before the race, if I'm not mistaken. When the rain comes, Djokovic just turns into an absolute god. Matty in P2, YPC Tess in P3 at the moment. That's a BT provisionally in P3, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, it would be. With 6 laps to go. Samo's actually recovered quite well. He has a 10-second time penalty, unfortunately, for speeding in the pit lane. If not, he would also maybe be on for a podium here even, or a P4, but he did get that time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which is going to cost him a little bit. Maybe only to Wigan, though. We'll wait and see. But now the race has... it has kind of died down a little bit now. Everything's just that bit calmer, that bit easier. No one really engaging each other quite yet. We'll wait and see if it starts drying out towards the end, but I don't think so. Nasi currently sitting 6 seconds behind the points, but he might... Yeah, he will probably pick up a couple of points just based on penalties anyway. But it's not going to be the grandiose ending to the NEF1 tenure that maybe we were all hoping for. Beat at the moment on his way to a brilliant podium, even facing the issues that he does. He's driving through them at the moment, say Beat, and he's doing it absolutely perfectly. Not put a foot wrong this race, say BT. Horrible qualifying for him, much better in the race. And looking at his pace, he's actually potentially the fastest man on track at the moment. He's hanging with the race leader. He's actually quicker than the race leader. Beatty now in these wet conditions might be the fastest man on track. As here we go, Squidge gets past us, followed by JMR heading into the Parabolica. JMR hopefully still on for a good result, even though he does have those penalties. If he didn't have those penalties, he would be on for a podium at the moment, which would have been a really, really nice surprise, actually. But I'm sure he'll take some positives away from this race regardless. 4 laps to go. As Nazi's past Noel Arksden into the last turn. Into the Parabolica, that's Nazi up in the P11. As it's Baby Red Bull versus Senior Red Bull. Jamar versus Squidge, and Jamar's winning that little battle at the moment. This is somewhat for position. That's if Squidge just has a bit of a mistake coming in, and there's been a mistake, I believe, from YPC potentially. Just a bit of a small one. But Djokovic and Matti at the moment running away with this one, especially Djokovic now 4.3 seconds ahead. So unless any time penalties are added on, Djokovic is in the clear. Matti getting antagonizingly close yet again to a race win in NEF1, but it's just not quite there for him. It's just not there for him quite yet, but it will come this season, I'm absolutely sure of it. He's just putting on pace and pace every single race now. It's getting closer. I do believe Matti potentially could have won this race if it wasn't for that rain in the end. But obviously, I must say that's a strategic masterstroke from Djokovic. That I call him a fool. Call me the fool. I completely forgot about the rain. He didn't. Yeah, one of the best strategies of the season for Djokovic. That really staying out, waiting for the rain, and then he knows he's quick in the rain as well. He knows he's going to be able to overtake in the rain. So yeah, Djokovic just playing into the strengths, absolutely brilliant, deserves to win this race. As long as he doesn't make any mistakes now, it's cruise control for the next couple of laps. 3 laps to go. As Beat is closing up to the back of Squidge, doesn't need to do any overtaking now, can just sit back behind these guys and coast home for a podium as well. So I believe we might be in for a boring couple of laps, realistically. Don't think too much is actually going to happen now. Wiggins sitting behind these guys as well. Would love to close up to the front guys a little bit further. Capitalize off even more penalties as Kit's had a bit of an issue. And what could have been a maiden points finish is going to turn into not a maiden points finish, unfortunately, for the Haas driver. But Wigan will be trying to close up as much as he can. 4 seconds advantage in terms of penalties over Samo, Squidge, YPC Tess, and a couple of more on Jamar. 4.4 from Samo to a BT, so I might not be able to do anything with it regardless, Wigan. But it's still on for a good result here. Gonna take Samo Bamo off the... gonna take Samo Bamo across the line. So right now, this is a very weird phase of the Grand Prix where no one really has incentive to race anyone because all the positions are basically set. Djokovic's most likely going to win this race with Matty in P2. BT's going to come home for P3. Then maybe a little bit of a battle between Squidge and YPC Tess for what I would imagine turns into P4. The moment that belongs to YPC Tess. Obviously, Squidge might feel confident in the fact that Tess might get a penalty for the previous battle in turn 4. I don't know. Then might have Jamar in P... Let's turn to P5 or P6. Hard to keep track of in my head. But the drivers will have it all calculated out, and they're not going to take any unnecessary risks now with 2.5 laps to go. They're not going to do anything to, well, risk any sort of spin, any sort of incident. Nasi gladly up into the top 10 this race, and he's going to take a couple of positions away, or it's going to take at least one position away of Ginster, so it's looking like a likely P9 finish for Nasi in this race. So still taking a couple of points away, not the points finish that we would have wanted for him. And not the points finish that Ferrari would have needed, as this is going to allow Aston Martin to maybe just get ahead a little bit in the Constructors' Championship. Wait and see, but it has been a really good race. It has been a really good race. As Jace is asking who gets the fastest lap, that at the moment goes to Nasi as well for 122.189, and obviously no one's going to beat that, so another extra point goes to Nasi. Nasi, who's now gone past Ginstis for P9 as well, and I believe that's all he's going to be able to do, unless he can close up by 6 seconds on Wigan in the next 2 laps, which not an impossible task, but it should be really difficult for him. As the rain has started to dry off a little bit, and a dry line is beginning to form. It's a damp line, it's not a dry line, but it's just letting off a little bit, and Djokovic has pulled away. It's now 8 seconds, the gap up front. And everyone else is relatively calm, no one really going for it. BT, all he's got to do, limp home in cruise control for yet another podium this season. He's actually had a couple. BT had an okay start to the season. He's had a strategic masterclass in Miami for his last podium, if I'm not mistaken. And now, here in Italy, driving a really, really solid race with technical difficulties, mind you, puts it even more impressive, actually. And he's going to take a podium here, unless something happens in this last lap, it would be absolutely heartbreaking. So hats off for BT as well for rebounding strong. YPC also brilliant recovery drive, speeding in pit lane. I'm quite sure that penalty was. I'm actually just going to check that real quick so we have a outlook of it. There we go, got an overview of all the penalties, so we know and can review that, if any of them are due to be taken off, as I believe Darren's might be, but it's not going to matter in the end. But YPC could be on for a podium here, unfortunately speeded into the pit lane a little bit too fast heading into the wet stages of the race, which will cost him quite a fair few points, but it's still been a very good race from him. From last on the grid to P3 come the checkered flag. But Jesus Christ, this man, strategic masterclass once again, a wet weather drive masterclass, as it always is from Djokovic. If it rains, he is going to take those 25 points, and he extends his lead in the Drivers' Championship, which is now up to a significant amount. Djokovic takes the win of the Italian Grand Prix. Everyone please stay in the lobby for the time being as well until the podium ceremony is over, just make it a bit easier for us admins come the end of the race. So please no one leave quite yet. Matty takes P2 away, and I believe a beat is going to come home to take P3 for Mercedes. A brilliant result for him. YPC Tess takes P4 away with Squidge in P5. Jamar P6 in the end for a good points finish for RB, with Wigan coming across for P7 ahead of Sam Obama in P9 there actually at the end with those penalties applied. Natty taking P8. P10 goes to Ginstis. Actually, P10 goes to No Locks. Haas finishing this race without a point in P11 and P12. Darren having a race to forget in P13, and Hybrid being the only man to retire. But just hats off to Djokovic. It's a wet weather masterclass, as he usually is from this man, and he takes yet another win this season. And I said it before, but if Djokovic does not win this championship, I will be massively surprised. Well on his way to becoming a first-time, three-time NEF1 champion. It's just inevitable. The flying Swede, the super Swede, in honor of Ronnie Peterson, is absolutely delightful to watch at the moment, Djokovic. Matty did what he could, and it's yet another podium for the Scuderia, who is going along really nicely. Matty, if he picked up this pace a little bit earlier in the season, maybe would have been able to place himself in championship contention. We'll wait and see. I believe effectively he is now P2 in the championship, but Djokovic is, I think, rather well clear. We'll see how it goes. We've still got more than half the season to go before we're heading on to the Netherlands next week out. But Djokovic, he is just an inevitable force. P1, 25 points to Aston Martin, P2 to Matty Adam, and P3 to a BT for Mercedes. Brilliant race. And P4 there goes to YPC Tess, P5 to Squidge, P6 for Jamar. Wigan in 7th, followed by Nassi in 8th in his last race for a little while. We look forward to seeing him come back in a couple of months' time, and hopefully for the last race of the season, but we'll wait and see. We're not going to put that kind of pressure on him. Benassi, thank you very much for your contributions this season. It's been an absolute blast watching, and we will all miss you very much whilst you're gone. Sam Obama in P9, after having a brilliant qualifying, wasn't able to make the most of it during the Grand Prix, and No Larks takes the last point position in P10 after a mistake and the wet stages. Ginstis, Kit, Darren finish outside the points, and Hybrid fails to finish here in Italy. Bringing out safety car in the middle of the race. Unfortunately, that was all she wrote. But then that is going to be it for this Italian Grand Prix here in NEF1. It has been a really, really nice race indeed. Feel free to follow and subscribe if you've not done so already. That goes to both Twitch and YouTube, as we really support us. See if we can get up to set a goal of 180 followers by the end of the season would be nice. 200 would be brilliant, but 180 would be nice indeed. But then, until next time, next week out, the league is going to be looking a bit different with Sam Obama as well, joining the Scuderia Ferrari. We'll wait and see how everything plays out. But until then, stay safe everyone, have a good one, and peace out. Congratulations once again to Djokovic. Thank you so much for watching, and good night.